This is the third battle where I let a random number generator decide which faction I'm picking, so I'm picking beforehand and then just selecting the faction right away. And I notice that when I do that, usually I just pick the faction before the faction I'm going to play before my enemy does, because I don't want to get into a situation where we're just picking and counter-picking each other. Some people like to do that, especially people high on the leaderboards, but I found that boring, and I just make my mind up about what faction I want to play and I try to make it work against my opponent. So here I picked Suebi, my opponent picked Sparta. So a decent matchup, but potentially difficult for Suebi, because chopping through blocks of Spartan hoplites, or even worse, Royal Spartans, is going to be challenging. So I went for a very infantry heavy build. 3 skirmishers, 2 spear walls to guard the rear, 3 wolf warriors, I rarely go with those, 4 or 5 bloodsworn with a club levy, 2 swordmasters, and I believe 2 berserkers, and 2 of these Germanic scout riders. My opponent is camping in the forest down here, which is fine by me. I don't have very many missiles to throw and shoot at him, so if he wants to camp here and reduce the effectiveness of his own missiles, that is fine by me. Time to do some trolling with these Germanic scout riders. They are very light, I'll just pause it here. They are very light and they have resistance against fatigue, so if I'm able to make the citizen cavalry chase me, they aren't going to be able to, and they're going to get tired a lot quicker than my own forces are. So I want that to happen, and of course they'll take some casualties as well. So I'm just going to post my guys up at the hill here, take the high ground so that I'm able to charge down into the forest. Citizen cavalry not really losing any men yet, but they're about to. Since these are very light, I can just run, turn around and run back and really keep the pressure on these citizen cavalry. I couldn't be doing this with Tarentines because the citizen cavalry would catch up to them, but these guys turn so fast and they just outrun the citizen cavalry very easily. So my opponent is pushing up his Royal Spartans here, and I am using Ariovistus, fast charge. I'm going to wait and see if I can catch the timing correctly. Wait until the charge bonus is available, and let's see if I manage to wait for long enough. That's always the challenge. This has to be timed correctly. Here comes the charge bonus. Am I able to send in my most important guys, the wolf warriors and the berserkers, in time? Oh, it looks like I am able to. I'm going to send in these bloodsworn as well. So this is just going to be mass charge, killing 6 Royal Spartans on the charge by throwing javelins, so quite a lot. And yep, I'm able to give them the massive charge bonus, so these Royal Spartans are going to take quite a few casualties on the charge. It's going to be very, very important if I'm going to be able to break through them. And now you can see the charge bonus is gone, so I did manage to get it with all my units. So these guys over here were just out of position. I waited for a bit too long. Now I have to deal with these missiles down here, and I have to chase away this cavalry so I don't get rear charged. Over here I had skirmish mode off, and because I was starting to micro the melee engagement, I wasn't able to get these guys out in time. But they're holding up four actually, they're holding up 4 cavalry units here, while the engagement is going down here, so that's fine. Royal Spartans dropping quite effectively, berserkers going berserk, and getting some nice kills there. Now I'm going to shoot at his Helot archers with my Germanic youths to make sure that they don't kill too many of my lightly armored warriors. These spear walls are continuing to try to chase away and catch citizen cavalry, using counter cavalry tactics and killing a few of the horses. Over here I just completely forgot about these units because I'm so focused on what's happening here. And now I've pushed my Swordmaster General into position to rear charge, and that is potentially going to be massively important. I make a mistake here in moving these guys too far forward to attack these retreating Helot archers. That's going to run these guys into melee, and it's going to set them up for being rear charged by the citizen cavalry. So that is potentially a huge move by my opponent. Look at those kills. Pretty devastating, and those are bloodsworn routing as well, so So very bad for me, but at the same time I managed to rear charge with my Swordmasters, and they're going to get some nice kills on these Royal Spartans. And I'm going to, more importantly, I'm going to envelop these citizen cavalry with my spear walls. So if I didn't have these spear walls chasing the citizen cavalry, I would be in a lot of trouble. So there we go, into the citizen cavalry, should kill them off pretty quickly. And now there are these units here. They are running back to the battlefield, but they are, well, they are fresh and tired. So didn't really manage to, since they were able to rest, their fatigue levels didn't drop too much. And my opponent did something a bit strange here. He kept his general away from the main engagement. So some of his units might rout quicker because they didn't have his general close by when dealing with all these fear units. Now it's not as important with Sparta and Royal Spartans that have an Inspire aura. And they also have base morale of, well, now they have 76 morale, so it's pretty crazy stuff. It's not going to be easy to break them, you basically have to kill them. These Bloodsworn have just about had enough being charged by all this cavalry and being winded. Using the spears to chase away the citizen cavalry and just chasing away the javelins with my Bloodsworn here. Wolf warriors, trying to scare them away as well. And now it's just a matter of killing off these last Royal Spartans. My Swordmasters are winded because I didn't use Headhunt. If I did, they would be exhausted. And his Royal Spartans are only active, so his Royal Spartans, although having fought for this long, because they have been in a phalanx all the time, they aren't actually going to get any debuffs on their fighting abilities, while my Club Levy, amazing that the Club Levy is still alive, my Club Levy and my Bloodsworn are getting quite a significant debuff by being tired. But still, this is looking pretty good for Suebi. Managed to get some effect out of Ariovistus' abilities. Not the best timing, but kind of decent, I guess. I did pop it a bit early to see if my opponent reacted and started pulling back, and if he did that I would have to charge straight in, but I got a bit more time than I was expecting. Wolf warriors, nice kills, charging in here. They aren't the best against cavalry, because they have shitty weapon damage, only 15. It's crazy how low their weapon damage is. But the bonus versus infantry is 10, so it brings up their weapon damage somewhat. And they have 9 armor piercing, so they are sort of decent in melee, but for their price you would expect better stats, at least weapon damage. But they do have, I believe they do have clubs, or clubs and axes and stuff like that. They have very low damage for some reason. So, Heroes of Sparta getting some nice kills, but still they are getting beaten down by combined assault of Wolf Warriors and Bloodsworn. Bloodsworn, very decent melee unit, as long as it doesn't get shot or charged by cavalry. Royal Spartans are still holding and tanking. Swordmasters are charging in here, these Bloodsworn, and my enemy quit, I guess. So, third time in a row that an enemy, well, the first two, to be fair, the first two dropped just as they were about to lose, but my opponent here conceded, which is a completely okay thing to do. Let's have a look at the kills. Swordmasters didn't do too well. Mostly these guys were in the back of Royal Spartans and these guys were in the front. His Heroes of Sparta did okay. These Germanic Scout Riders did okay. I wasted the Germanic Youths. The Berserkers weren't able to get the best charge because I messed up their timing a bit. And these Bloodsworns, some of them did well and some of them barely did any damage. And the Spear Wall did okay against the cavalry. The Wolf Warriors did okay. So overall, the kills combined were enough, and the scare effect was enough to break these Spartans. But I think I would have been in a lot of trouble had he had, say he had 6 Royal Spartans and then 6 Spartan hoplites, that would be a nightmare. I don't think I would be able to kill that with this army, even with the perfectly timed ability. It would just be too many phalanxes to destroy. But yeah, it's quite interesting to try using random factions, because you do get it does get unpredictable, and you do get counterpicked a lot if you just present your faction straight away, and I like to do that because it's more of a challenge. It can lead to some really bad losses, but it makes the wins a bit more satisfying than if I'm just trying to hard counter my opponent at all times. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you again on the battle.